All right, we are here for a very special edition of Latent Space with my buddy, Jared Palmer, SVP at GitHub and VP at CoreAI at Microsoft.
Correct. Dual title.
Yeah.
Twice the fun.
Is it weird to have two jobs?
No. I'm only the full disclaimer, I'm only on day 13, I think.
Yeah.
So early days. So far so good.
So far, so good. We've been trying to get you on the podcast for 2 years, I think.
I think so, yeah.
You,
We'll go back for it.
yeah, you're a busy guy.
We let her do it in person, so.
We have to do it in person. Yeah, exactly.
It's way better.
I should also plug that you have, if Jared Palmer fans should dig into your previous podcasts with Ken Wheeler.
How about that?
It's from
the internet.
Okay, but
Shout out to Ken.
Shout out to Ken. Before that, you were building, I guess like V0 and AI SDK, and you were just sort of VP of AI at
Vercel, yes.
No?
Yes, all AI initiatives and vibes.
Yeah, and I feel like basically you went from like you sort of building one coding agent to now being the home for all coding agents. Is that like the general vibe of Agent HQ?
I think that's right. Yeah. So backing up, I spent the last sort of 2 years or so building V0 at Vercel and AI SDK. And then the summer took time off and now joined GitHub. And today we launched Agent HQ, among other things, here at Universe. And it's going to be the home, we hope, of not only agents, but also developers. And this seems like the gravity well of this new collaboration space that we're trying to build.
Yeah. What do you think, like, basically that GitHub can do that you couldn't do at V0?
GitHub is an enormous platform, right? So these are
183 million. It's some developers.
Yeah, it's under 8 million developers. It's just the scale is immense, right? And V0 was focused on not only one language but one framework, right? And a specific problem space with a built-in renderer, and for those who are not aware of V0, it's like a Bolt or Lovable, but it's built by Vercel, and it's focused on building Next.js apps, specifically Next.js apps. That constraint was rather liberating for the team at the time, and it lets us really like laser focus.
Right? World at it.
I hope. Thank you. I hope so. And obviously at GitHub, we're the home of all languages and and frameworks and developers, and so the scope is broadened, and it's just a different part of the map, if you will, right?
Yeah. How I've seen, so you've been basically covering the entire journey of coding agents.
Yeah.
For from the start. Like, what do you think? What's your personal journey through coding agents, right? Like, we started out with Copilot, obviously GitHub started the Copilot trend.
Sure.
Tell us about the origin story of V0.
Yeah.
And then how that develops and maybe where like what you want to see next with history.
It's funny you ask that. As I've told this story multiple times, I feel like I've unlocked different parts of it in my brain by going back, so maybe we'll have to figure out how retrieval memory works.
By the way, interesting how memory works for agents.
Totally. That's why I brought it up.
This
is like kind of interesting as sometimes you discover new paths, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, the story goes like this. So when ChatGPT first came out, obviously it was incredible, right? Like world-changing immediately, fastest growing product ever. I look back at like the timeline and dates, and we were very early, like when I was at Vercel, jumping into AI stuff. But the journey kind of went like this. So at the time, there was no AI division, there was no AI group. I was actually the director of engineering for all of Vercel frameworks, and I was helping Next.js, Svelte, right? Yeah. So Next.js, Svelte, Turbo Repo, Turbo Pack, Webpack, and all internal dev tools at Vercel. And I was helping the Next.js team dog food and test the initial implementation of server actions. And instead of building a to-do app, Guillermo, the CEO of Vercel, was like, why don't you build like a playground? And I was like, okay, cool. So that led to the AI playground, which is now just part of AI SDK. We'll get there in a second.
Which, by the way, iconic for like side by side, but also the
right. So Not dev. So G told me that Nat Dev. I got a DM. It was like I remember because I was at a bachelor party, and Guillermo, totally online, sends me a note like Nat.dev is launching on Monday. You have to ship. And I had been working on it previously. And so it was like
the same idea.
So he got wind of it, I guess. So I definitely had to like jump into motion. And I didn't think we didn't even ship chat first. Guillermo sends me this DM over the weekend. I'm at a bachelor party, and he's like, Nat.dev, this side by side. He sends me the link, and I play with it. And I'm like, ciao. Okay, so I spring into gear, ship the AI playground. What was cool about the AI playground was it forced me to go through every single model provider's API docs and figure out their quirks of their nuanced streaming. Because at the time, it wasn't like everybody used OpenAI. Yeah. It was like all little quirks. Some of them kind of were compatible. So that was my first foray to it. And then launched AI Playground. That shot to the top of Hacker News. And I remember I didn't even implement chat because that chat wasn't actually like wasn't as important. It was just like completions. So eventually we factored chat, and that project, out of that came AI SDK, because I had already looked at all the model providers and all of the combinations. I was like, okay, here's that chunk of streaming code you need. And then AI SDK found that sort of niche of like, how do we focus on the part that we're going to be good at, which is like that UI aspect of it, but then also not get in your way. So that we shipped AI Playground, then AI SDK launched. And then, we're always about demos and having great starter templates at Vercel. And I remember writing Guillermo, I was like, what would be cool? This guy, ShadCN, oh man, he seems like amazing. And his UI library is doing great. Why don't we team up and ship a ChatGPT clone, open source? And we did. We shipped this awesome template, which is now called Chat SDK, but it's great. And what that did though at Vercel was it set us up for like rapid experimentation, because we had this really good, like pretty full-featured ChatGPT ready to rock with all the latest features.
Yeah.
So when it came to like rapid prototyping that summer, now we're summer 23, it was so great. It was like liberating. So I remember at that point I had gained some momentum internally and pivoted almost entirely to AI. And I had Shu Ding, who you're friends with, and Max later, and ShadCN now were cooking. And I think at that point, code execution had just come out. I think that's my timeline.
Yeah, the code sandbox interpreter.
Code interpreter, that's what they call it at the time. And I had as soon as I saw this, I had a very ambitious idea and proposal to present to Guillermo, which was like, what if there was some, and mind you, tool calls don't exist. The context window is 4,000 tokens.
Yeah.
So like, there's not much here. What if we had this thing where like, you could prompt, and sometimes it would do code interpretation, and then maybe we could sometimes it would do code interpretation, but then other times it would choose to render like UI, or then it would render sometimes like a document, or
inline in the chat.
Yeah, and like it would just have different sort of render modes.
Generative UI.
Yeah, and maybe you could pipe them together. So like the output of one could pipe into. So if we did code interpretation, we coerce it to always emit like tabular data.
Yeah.
Maybe we could pass that to another prompt that was like a UI, and just like some idea there. It's kind of crazy. But if it sounds like these are just tool calls, that's exactly what these are.
Right, it was, yeah.
So it became pretty obvious that so I came to Guillermo, and at the time we just had a sort of security debate. Like, should we code interpretation with the ability to fetch data? Like giving it internet access was like kind of, now they're like, fine, whatever you want, Wild West. But at the time it was like a little scary. So we kind of said, okay, no to the code interpretation, but this UI thing, it's pretty neat. And so this like prompt to UI, that was like the aha moment of V0, but the models were not very good, right? So, or relative to where they are now.
And it was GPT-4 era?
This is just into the GPT-4 era. And now we're probably at a 16,000 token context window. So you can't really do chat. So we had to kind of invent this kind of new paradigm of like fake it with completion. But that forced us to do sort of the initial V0, which launched, I think, in September 23. It would look more mid-journey. In fact, if you go back to the original tweet, it was like mid-journey for React, because it was all very visual. And you could click on different components and elements and reprompt. But it was, again, we were kind of hacking this because we didn't have chat and we didn't have tool calls. And then fast forward again, that launches, and then probably like 9 months later, it took us like 9 months to get to like 1 million ARR, this little team. But then the models progressed, and from GPT-4 32K, the big boy, we never really got GPT-4 Turbo working. I don't know why. It just never happened. And then switched to other frontier models, and then started doing our own models and stuff like that. But fast forward another 10 months or 9 months or so, and then we rebased towards chat. And now the models finally could do chat. And the artifact pattern had evolved, so it was time to rewrite. When we launched V0, the chat version, or the new V0, whatever I'm call it, it's like 14 days, another million MRR, 14 days, another million MRR. It was like a rocket ship after that. And that just proceeded. And we just kept cooking. And so that's been the journey we just kept perfecting. And what was really liberating for us was actually the focus on just one stack or one framework. When everybody else was trying to do general purpose coding agent, we were like, no, we're just going to focus on Next.js, frontend, and ShadCN. And that was really, that allowed the team to focus. So that's the story arc.
I mean, to be fair, like bolt lovable, like because Next.js is so dominant, basically everyone has to be good at Next.js.
Right.
But being focused on like even right down to the UI library and component stuff, like that actually helps a lot.
We also started working with all the frontier model labs to help, because it was in our Vercel's best interest to have them be great at Next.js.
Yeah.
And also because of the post-train models, and you can read about this on the Vercel blog, like we can, the post-training like harness that we created, we started sharing and stuff with other model labs and stuff like that. And we had all our data in a very hygienic state to work with them. So
did you ever debate internally? And because, you know, from my seat at Cognition, I can also see this, where you should pick the best qualities of every model and string them together in the V0, or you have the model selector and you let customers choose.
We went back and forth, and I think, you know, we went back and forth on all this. I think at the end of the day, there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
One of the benefits of having your own branded model or synthetic or composite is that you can stitch these things together.
Yeah, there's like
at higher levels of, and now it's a little different with this agentic flow, but even look at what you guys launched recently with Rep, right? So search is going to be a different model than what generation, but the Genesis, but like, because it's a shorter. But like search and Genesis are two different entire subsystems, right? So you can have search evals that are going to be totally different. And so so where we ended up now, where it's probably ended up now is like, for a long time we didn't have model selector, and then we had our own models, which were composites, which we talked about. And then like, and that would allow us to, you know, mix match. And I think that's probably it's also nice because this is like the product you get to brand it.
Yes.
Right. And you can decouple it from the launch of the Frontier Lab.
Yes.
How does Cognition even bill for it? Like
APUs,
right. Some synthetic unit, right?
Yeah.
So it gets a little wonky.
Yeah.
We can go on for pricing this stuff. It gets challenging. But the nice thing about having the like brand name model is that like you get to co-launch with the provider and they'll hype you up. So, but your billing needs to then is capped at whatever retail is, right? Or some
right. Or you can't really charge too much of a premium. You can, but
right. But then people are like,
sorry, what do I own
API, right? And it's like, well, then how do we charge you for Sweet Rep or something, right?
Yeah.
So
and so like I think it's some part of it is the cynical, like you want to create a sustainable business and independence from the model labs, but the other part is genuinely you actually do get better performance. Right. You like string together all these things.
Yes, and so it's tough. I think we've switching gears to GitHub. Like we are all about model choice now, and like making sure that. And what's cool is that like we also have Copilot, which is our harness, and Copilot CLI, but we also have third-party harnesses like Cloud Code and Codex and Cognition now, like in Agent HQ. So you kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
and like I think that's going to be awesome and ultimately what people want.
Yeah, I think also the model layer is not the right abstraction to do the switcher anymore. Which is weird because that's where you started with the SDK.
Yeah, exactly.
But now it's like the model and the agent have to be strictly tied together, like very, very strongly balanced. You can't loosely bound it and just do a generic interface because then you're just going to have the lowest common denominator of all the models.
If we're in agent world, which may just be better than chat world, like in general, like better.
Agent world is a much better abstraction.
I'm calling it agent world, but I mean by like a loop with maybe compute runtime and like files.
So that's your definition of agent? You're dropping your official definition here?
No, don't put me on stuff. But no. So my initial definition of agent for AI is because like I was dying on this hill because AI SDK. Everyone else is an agent framework, and I think maybe they actually went to like this. I don't know what it says on the front page now, but like who knows? But like an agent is orchestrating an API request with a queue and a for loop. Okay, but a coding agent now is meant so much more. There's like these coding agent SDKs, and you've got sandboxing and file systems and tool calls, and I do think that is a uniquely I'll call that agent world, and I'm talking about coding agents here, and yeah, I think that seems to be where things are going. And even I believe the Claude Excel agent is basically, I was talking to Mike Krieger backstage, like I think it's like related to Claude Code.
It could be. I actually don't know how it's implemented under a hood.
It is, yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was.
Yeah. They seem very all in on skills, which is kind of like an interesting.
What do you think of skills?
It's kind of DXT, which is like the sort of bundled version of MCPs.
Okay.
Wasn't the reason you don't know about it is because it wasn't very popular.
Okay.
So skills is kind of like the second shot that is very LLM pilled. Like it's like just read my markdown and just read this directory of files and go nuts. And as long as I can understand that you have the capability to run code, to read files, you're good. And actually that is the universal interface, which is a file system.
Right. Back to agent process.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. So I mean, like I think like what you're hitting at is, this philosophy of like our understanding of what coding agents, the minimum bar is over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. Like you've lived this journey, and like now you're basically kind of like the kingmaker, or like the
I don't know about that.
you run Agent HQ, and I imagine you have other projects too, but like Agent HQ is like the big one that we're talking about here. Like what are you seeing from like the different agents? Like what do you want this to become?
Such a good question. I think that Agent HQ and GitHub itself need to co-evolve. And, one of the things that Microsoft has done really well is by putting things that are alike closer together. And so you think about the new CoreAI organization.
Yeah.
Got Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code, GitHub, and parts of Azure all in one. And obviously the GitHub team and the VS Code team have been working closely together for a long time, but now we're really close together. And I think for me, one of the cooler things that Agent HQ can sort of offer is this seamlessness, this fluidity with your workflow, right? So if you saw in the demo today, we saw a demonstration of you use Agent HQ, you fire off a task, and it creates a PR, but you can also open that PR up in VS Code in one click. And that's awesome. And I think the vision for GitHub as it evolves is to look at those touch points where AI can be sprinkled in, salt-based style, into the native workflow, whether you're assigning an issue or maybe some new stuff that I think we should like focus on. Maybe it could be like, how do we resolve a merge conflict?
Oh my God.
Right? Like, how do we maybe pop open an action or like get in, right? And so it's
I think solving merge conflicts is my definition of AGI.
Totally. But like, you get that error on an action and you're like, we've all been in that sort of flow where like actions kind of don't work locally versus that tool act. If you ever tried it, I don't have that set up on my machine. I haven't done this in it. So you're like pushing up and you're this like, okay, what if we could just put like, comment or kick off a task to solve this or for you or throw things there. I think what I'm trying to describe is this like this workflow where it's just like seamless and fluid and you can stay in a flow state across whether you're across all devices, mobile, web on github.com or in your local editor. And I think that's where, my focus is going to be in the next 6 months or so.
Yeah. Just a side tangent on this. So one of the things that Microsoft also owns, I don't know if it's Microsoft or GitHub, is dev containers. And I think like a very important concept for sandboxing environments, whatever you call it, it is kind of a light version of what Docker containers are, kind of.
Right.
Do you see that as a standard that we should invest in as like it's like a thing? Like, because it's supported in VS Code. I don't think it's just that popular outside of VS Code.
Yeah. It's used internally at GitHub too for like development at GitHub.
Oh, yeah.
Which is cool. I think they were so far ahead almost. Like it was, but now there's sandboxes. There's so many these days, right? So I think Cloudflare just launched theirs. Yeah. There's Daytona. There's here, Vercel. Modal, which I think Lovable uses.
I'm not yet.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have your own. I don't know. What do you guys use?
Just some Kubernetes pods.
Okay, you guys are rolling it yourself. Very cool. I think that's maybe the runtime, but there's work and discussion about what that runtime should be even internally at Microsoft. And we've got a couple different competing things, so we'll figure it out in the next cycle here. But there's a great point. Like there's a lot of cool stuff that is in a dev container. You've already got VS Code loaded, you've got a file system, you've got a sandbox, you've got the security protocol. Yeah. It's also like wired into GitHub Enterprise. Yeah. And like ready to be packaged. So there's lots of goodness there.
Yeah, I see like the number one pain points that Cognition has, but also Codex, also presumably the other guys, is repo setup, which is effectively what dev containers and a Docker file does for you. Is like run this thing, then that thing, set this up, do that thing. Why is it so hard? Like, why haven't we solved it?
I don't know. I think it's hard because you can't predict what's in the repo, right? So it's like, and you don't know when they bundled FFmpeg. You just don't know.
Right. It's nice when like, if it's just Next.js, you just run pnpm install.
Correct. You can like do special, like there's obviously through constraints, you can make optimizations. And I think the general purpose container is just like challenging. That being said though, I think there's probably some work to do on, auto detection and preempting and stuff like it to be done there. But it's just it's a broader problem space, right?
Yeah. So fun fact, when I was at Netlify, I actually wanted to reach out to Vercel to do like a standardized open source auto detection thing of frameworks.
Oh yeah.
And I like we never really got internal momentum on that. It was an idea. I was like, hey, shouldn't this be open source,
Yeah.
Like auto detection is a common utility that everyone needs.
Yes. I remember that. I'm having a flashback. That's all I have.
Everyone builds their and probably we shouldn't all build it.
Right. No, it's and then also like what are your defaults? They're not exactly the same, which would be better to like just having even the same like preference stack of defaults is the right would be great, because then we can move the whole ecosystem together from like to PNPM or Bun, right? Like
okay, so are there other movements or protocols or standards that you're interested in? Like MCP was a big winner this year.
Yeah.
There's other like, I don't know, A2A, ACP, all these like
super interesting. I'm not as familiar with
ACP, the payments or one, or is that or head one?
Oh no, there's that one. The
one, okay.
And then the payment that was a Stripe or Coinbase? Stripe. Yeah, that's very cool.
We've had them on the pod.
Okay, yeah, that's very cool. It'd be interesting to see if that takes off.
I mean, it's Stripe.
So yeah, but it still needs to be adopted by like the clients, right? And and I think that's fascinating. But MCP is huge. It seems like it is the way that a lot of the, especially when it comes to like digital transformation or some of our enterprise customers, it's where they're going to able to be at, or where they are able to add context. In addition to that, we also have custom agents that we announced today too. So like you can work with prompts and stuff within your agent HQ and customize these agents for different tasks, and those can have MCPs and such. And I think that's gonna be really powerful from like a platform perspective.
Yeah,
it gets me excited. That's what I think is like shipping now and in the next. But we're always on the lookout for like the next thing. And I don't know what's on your what's top of mind for you.
For like standards or standards.
Should be
dev container is look. I think dev container just is a PR problem. It's a great idea.
Right.
Just no one makes it interesting.
Yeah.
I think you can do it. Basically, this one.
Okay. Add it to my list.
But before that, probably you have a bunch of other stuff that I do want to get to. But just staying on the AI stuff, like I think we're actively exploring computer use as a thing, like because it kind of got going a little bit. People were very excited, and then they found out it was slow and bad and inaccurate.
It is computationally intensive. From my understanding,
it's getting better.
Yeah,
especially with open vision models like DeepSeek OCR and OMO OCR. Like just give it a few more turns of the scaling.
It seems like it's like you need that edge case and primary. It just seems like a modality worth pursuing.
And I think a lot of people are on the code gen side, the code agent side. A lot of people are trying to think about, all right, we had this evolution from Copilot to like a more agentic sort of like a cloud code situation is where I think that the status is. Like what's next, right? What's the obvious next step?
Making them good.
Making them good, yeah. You don't like cause?
No, I don't. It's more just like the devil's in the details. Like going from 90% going to like hill climbing, it gets steeper.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it gets steeper, and so going from 90% success to 95 to 98 to 99 to 9s of success.
Yeah,
I mean we're really hard.
Paying Mercor a lot of money for expert programmers of open source maintainers to like,
then you realize along the way maybe the users aren't that good at it. No, but I just think there's a lot of work to do to finish the swing, and there's a big difference between 98% and 99% correct, and that's like noticeable. And this used to hit, if you're working on an AI product, you probably don't realize how. You've probably seen this. Like most people are blind, like living in la la land about how poor quality their AI product likely is, unless they're really measuring like the number of error-free sessions, like how many errors are coming from the infra providers, like how many requests are dropped, how fast these things are. And so that's something that we cared about at Vercel quite a bit, and like we'll care about.
Do you have like a daily review of your dashboard? I don't know.
Daily is slow.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say days too much.
Days, no, and you're thinking that's like every 3 hours, roll up of key metrics and stats.
Yeah.
And like one of them was like error-free sessions and other things like that. That was like really important because, especially now with agents which are like multi-turn. I have a tweet about this that was like in 2024, which is that like agents will really only work when we get to not only like the more intelligent models, but better reliability of the infrastructure providers, right? These are not, inference is not like a database, like update uptime, right? So there's still differences between providers. There's still differences between performance and different uptimes. And that's why you see things like OpenRouter being very successful and different gateway products, because like reliability, you need to switch, they go down all the time. So long story short, yeah, we would do like, it was almost like video game style. Like we'd have like all the data coming in all the time.
Yeah.
And that allowed, I used to joke it's by mood ring, like good day, bad day. So it was very successful for us. I think other teams should adopt that like data-driven approach.
I think one thing that's surprising is the relative lack I still see on data analyst agents, where you can sort of chat it, like add a Slack bot for the precise analytics that you want to generate. Because I think we're still in the BI era.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's interesting that space hasn't been like captured as much.
Yeah.
Like I guess maybe now. Actually, I'm interested in this like shift to away into knowledge work tasks with coding agents.
Okay.
I wonder,
Using coding agents for non-coding tasks.
correct.
Do you do that personally?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. What do you do?
Well, like this summer I was trying to automate some of my dad's workflows and stuff like that. And just like he's got some Excel spreadsheets and for like accounting, like financial accounting or managerial accounting, I guess. Just like point cloud code of that stuff and see what happens. And like it ends up doing Python and generating some scripts, and it kind of got down on the hairs. But it was like even he saw that it was better at it than the chat client. That makes sense.
Super obvious.
It became kind of obvious. Yeah, it felt better.
I wonder if he can try Cloud for Excel and see if
Yeah, that got me right. And then of course you got the browser, browser space agents, but not computer use, but browsers with agents, agent browsers.
Right.
Agent browsers.
Perplexity.
Yeah, everybody's coming right. That guy. It's like, is that the better? If that's true, then maybe the general purpose injection point is there.
Yeah.
Which have you tried any of the agent browsers?
All of them.
All of what?
I am very. I'm currently maining Atlas, mostly because I just want to give ChatGPT a fair go.
Okay.
But I'm very stuck to the Arc and like the vertical tab.
Oh, okay.
I think any pro user, like I have multiple businesses.
How many tabs do you have?
I'm context switching. Right? I have hundreds of tabs open. I made an open source tool called Chrome Dump. You can find it on my GitHub, where it literally dumps all the tabs open. It summarizes them, and then I can close it by deleting them on Markdown.
That's pretty cool.
And it's
So you just go on like a bender.
Yeah.
And then you just dump it.
I mean, it should be as easy to close as Markdown, and Chrome isn't that good at the performance side of things yet.
And you were working on like some browser comparisons.
I was, but so I tried to build it in Tori.
Okay,
and
how'd that go?
Tori explicitly doesn't want you to build a browser, and I tried to fight it too much.
I see. Yeah, that'd be very cool.
So just to wrap things up, and we're around about time. There are other side projects, tasks, and things that you've announced here. First of all, redesign GitHub homepage, which a lot of people don't even know GitHub has a homepage. I'm legitimately one.
I had a tweet, which is was this tweet like printed out, like you see the tweet, like there's a tweet from Riz, and it's like no one uses.
You GitHub homepage.
None. All of this stuff is totally useless. I'll pull it up. Like
Yeah.
I quoted it today because we like when we launched. let me get it right because I got to do it right. Hold on.
Okay.
Was incredible how pretty much the entire GitHub homepage is useless, and is 1.3 million views and 19,000 likes. And this was May 2025. So the team made improvements, and today they launched a new GitHub homepage. Yeah, which I'm very proud of. And they should be really proud of. It's got tasks at the top. It's got recent PRs. Some stuff is still there, like your recent repositories. I think there's more work to do, but it's like really overhauled and they did an amazing job with it. So they nailed it. But more work to do, never done. And like, hopefully we can keep iterating with the community and everyone and keep going.
The last thing I want to hit you on is stack diffs.
Oh, yeah.
You asked everyone when you joined, what should I work on or something?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is your job specifically.
It wasn't.
But why do people want stack diffs so much? I think you have some history there.
Yes.
Anyone who's interacted with anyone at Facebook knows about Fabricator.
We're just about it. Yeah.
So can you explain why it's been so, like, what it is, why is it so hard?
Okay. So this concept of a pull request, which we're all familiar with, you write some commits, you open a PR, and then you merge the PR and you go about your day. So as you scale to like larger organizations, and like you look at your history, and there are people who are like very, I'll say like have like near religious beliefs about how to do Git right. Rebase versus merge. There's a crowd that wants to fast forward the repository so to preserve all the history, and then there's a crowd that wants to squash and merge into the.
I'm team squash.
Okay. Anyway, Facebook. And I've never worked at Facebook, but in my previous startup before Vercel, Turbo Repo, I did a lot of research on build systems. And at Facebook, they have their custom build tools called Buck. They also have a custom file system, and they don't use Git. They use Mercurial, and then now it's sort of custom, and it's all wired together. And at Facebook, they don't use pull requests. They have a different sort of philosophy. You can, it's sort of like the best way to think about this is like, imagine every PR just had one commit in it.
Yeah.
You could branch them, and the critical thing is you can restack them. And then, if you restack or make a change later, like earlier in the stack than later in the stack, and these stacks are just diffs, right? The commits are just diffs, and that's the term stack diffs. You can then collapse them and merge the last one and merge them in parts of it. And it just gives you a little bit of a nicer workflow. And it's what people, if you work on a mono repo or you work on a very, very large code base, it's a really, really nice way to work. Especially if you've got a system that will automatically restack. And then if you think even more deeply about it, and get really deeper into the weeds, you can decide which diffs in the stack CI should run against if you get fancy.
Okay.
May not be
like some kind of commit message or something.
They're just always, you could decide like maybe this one doesn't need it or skip that one or whatever. And you end up getting these like sort of these groups, these stacks. And it's really nice from a code review perspective because when you go to update or you can update a different part of the stack, it just makes it a little bit more fluid. And so it's what people want. There are a couple tools out there in the market that do this kind of behavior. One's called Graphite. There are a couple others.
So many tools called Graphite. There's another Graphite right here.
Yeah. And it's a great workflow. And so it's been the top pull request, the top feature request. Thank you, at GitHub for years from the community's perspective. I don't know at GitHub, and then so as soon as I joined, the first thing I did was go look this up, and well, not the first thing. I asked how should we make it better, and it was the top feature request, right? And then I went to go investigate like any good product person would. And there's been multiple attempts at this internally, going back to 2020.
Okay.
And there was one very, very, very polished attempt too in 2022. And it just, I don't have all the context. But there was a pretty good implementation. All of the work was done on the client, and it reintroduced this new concept called stacks outside the pull request into GitHub, and it was a little too risky. It was sort of deemed too risky, too big of a change. That's just what I was told. So anyway, we had a couple of meetings internally already, and we're trying to weave it into planning and the roadmap. And so hopefully we'll be able to share more updates soon, but it's a top of the list known feature request.
Again, heard.
Yeah. And so we're working on it. Obviously something the size of GitHub to move to support this kind of new feature is not just a walk in the park because of the size of GitHub's and GitHub's Git implementation, but it's something that we're actively exploring.
Yeah. Well, I think, just to wrap all that up, I think it's really nice for someone who's so deeply engaged and like coming from like one of us, literally.
Yeah.
That you now run things at GitHub, and we can just add you. And like
You can do that, man.
and I think like Ajay Karpathy was the other day was saying like every company needs one of these where you can just like, hey, like this really should exist at GitHub. We love GitHub, we use GitHub, but like come on. And
Well, yeah, feature requests welcome. Like my DMs are always open.
careful, I don't know. Ajay, any other developer?
I like 100 whatever. I am of the philosophy that like all feedback is a gift. Like it's all a signal.
Yeah.
And the more signal we can collect, the better decisions we can make, and truly build this really, really useful website and company like together. And that's going to be the future. And if we focus just on that, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thanks so much, Jared.
Yeah,
This is
thanks
a real
for-
pleasure.
Awesome.
Catching up.
Yep. Likewise.
Congrats.